Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Full on John, that's what he likes to call himself. More like Busted Flush John. 4 weeks ago, he was boasting how the people of Scotland could trust the NHS in the hands of the SNP. They could trust education, they could trust everything, because the SNP had delivered for nearly 20 years. And he was confident that they would win the Hamilton by-election, a stronghold for the SNP, because the people of Scotland had faith in the SNP. How did that work out, John? Oh, that's right. Labour. Labour wins it. And if it weren't for the voters of the Tory party, very few, could have jumped ship to Reform. Reform would have won it. He says he's healed the SNP. That's clearly not true. He claimed that the SNP's only threat was Reform, but he would see them off. That also is clearly not true. We're here a month later, and reality is so strong for him that he may already be too late for him to keep his job. The people of Hamilton, Lhall and Stonehouse decided rather than having the managed decline of Scotland under the SNP, they'd go in a new direction. And they're going for the crash and burn of Labour. Fine, whatever. The fact is, up and down the whole of Scotland, the people of Scotland have had enough of the SNP, of its failures, of its corruption, of its incompetence and of its stupidity. It's fed up with these faceless, talentless twonks pissing on their cornflakes and telling them it's milk. All they offer is yet more failure, and the people of Scotland have had enough and they want something different. You only have to look at the case of Alexander Dennis Limited. These are the bus manufacturers, of course, make fire engines too. They are moving out of Scotland. They're losing all those jobs. They're moving to England. And the reason is there's no trade, there's no business in Scotland. Nobody's buying their buses. Rather than buying Scottish-built buses, the SNP are buying ones made in China. This is leaving the Scottish workers high and dry. You wonder why a party that keeps pushing how great Scotland is buying buses from China. But then on the other hand, you've got to look how close hand in hand it is with the bus companies offering them millions upon hundreds of millions a year of public money. Obviously, they want their directorships at the end, and if they can get a slightly cheaper bus from China, they're going to do that, rather than the SNP forcing them to buy Dennis buses made in Scotland. Oh no, we don't want that. That might cost us an extra couple of thousand a bus kind of thing. Now, you don't have to oppose the SNP to see they're a busted flush. There's people within the party seeing that they're a busted flush and that John Swinney is a disastrous, awful First Minister. Even his own MSPs now are starting to rebel against him. There are movements, rumblings, grumblings. Already, Mary McAllen is being posted as the replacement. I think she'll have a fight on her hand. I think Kate will have a go. There's one or two others that might have a go too. But Swinney said a couple of weeks ago, we're going to come up with a whole new raft of ideas that will raise Scotland high. So far, nothing. They've got no ideas. They've got no vision. They're directionless. Effectively leaderless, of course. There's no fire in their belly. They're tired. They've been in power too long. They've grown distant. 1 in 6 Scots are on an NHS waiting list, with no sign of that shortening at any time soon. We talked yesterday about the app that they were introducing that was supposed to be the great saviour. But it's okay as long as you're in Lanarkshire and you've got skin problems. Otherwise, it's completely useless. The A9 and the A96 still not duelled. Potholes galore, so, there's that. You've got schools with such behavioural crisis now. Teachers are leaving the profession in droves. There is a hiring crisis. Teachers who are qualifying as teachers are going to England. They don't want to serve in Scottish schools. The violence and the sexual assaults are high. This is from the pupils as well as other teachers, you understand. And Swinney's and his party's idea about how to deal with school discipline is to have a laminated sheet with some rules on it that the teacher can point to. Yeah, the kind of kids that are doing this don't really give a shit about a laminated sheet. They'd probably use it as a weapon. There's a housing crisis. Not enough houses, not enough houses being built. Builders don't want to build them because of the planning rules, because of the conditions, even the ones when they're building commercially sensitive, commercially saleable properties. Oh, but you've got to build this number of community properties as well. Well, they don't make money on that, and so they're not doing it. And at the same time, he wants to bring in yet more people into Scotland. Where are they going to live, John? You haven't got enough homes for the homeless in Scotland now, for Christ's sake. He's finally realised that all of this house of cards is falling down, so what's he got? Well, let's hit the panic button again. Let's go with Old Faithful. Yes, independence. The latest wheeze, incidentally, just as an aside on this, is the latest wheeze is they're not going to this and the other. They've got every MP, every MSP, every MP, every councillor is going to write to the Prime Minister asking for a referendum. That's their latest wheeze. Please give us a referendum. Please, please, please. Pretty please, with sugar on. Starmer has already said you're not getting one. So this is just going to annoy him even further. It's a party without a function, really, isn't it? The staggering amount of corruption and incompetence within the SNP itself. It's blatant disregard for the law. It's blatant abuse by having the head of law sitting in the cabinet, for example. Needs to be, looked at. Scotland needs to be doing better. It would be laughable if it weren't so serious, but it isn't. And then you've got these dinosaurs like Swinney, like Robinson, like Shona Robinson. They're all living in the past, aren't they? And not in a good way. Not in a, standing on one foot blowing a flute way. These guys are dinosaurs. And they want to move into the future with an old, tired, knackered set of policies. Scotland needs better. It needs new thinking. It needs new party. And it certainly doesn't need the SNP. That journey is over. Independence is never going to happen. Scotland couldn't survive outside the UK. And of course, their big claim is, we want to go independent so we can become a vassal state of the EU, where you would have no say and all your laws would be imposed. Yay, independence. You can take our freedom, but you cannot take our intelligence. The big problem they also have at the moment is nuclear power. They're so against it. The rest of the country is going to get loads of it. Nice, cheap, clean, free electricity. Not free, but, Not Scotland. Oh no, we're relying on wind farms so that we can give billions and billions of pounds to foreigners. Yay. That needs investigating because that smacks of crime. That smacks of corruption. So what are you going to do? Well, you can tell the people of Scotland all this, but you know what? There's so many dumb people that the SNP voters, even presented with all this, are still going to vote SNP because, they know with SNP it's independent, isn't it? They knuckle drag their way to the nearest pub or the nearest fix. Dumb, dumb, dumb. We need to have intelligence tests and not allow the dumb to vote. Anyway, there we go. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks very much. Bye. Scottish rant over. Hit the subscribe button.